Hey guys, Sandy here, and today I am using a cut file from Confessions of a Paper Addict. You'll be able to see a link down below in the YouTube description so that you can get your hand on this and some other fabulous cut files. Now, I have the cut file and I also kept all of the negative space. Yeah, they are in page protectors to keep them nice and neat. I originally thought I was just going to go with the paper airplanes and make something fun happen on the page, but I think I want to do something glittery and do something with the negative space. So let's see what I can do. Now I was really excited to work with the negative cut out portion of this cut file. I really liked the way it looked, and I had first imagined taking this cut file and really filling in the entire things and making basically a 12 by 12 shaker pocket of these airplanes. But I decided to go a little bit of a different way. So I took the airplanes that actually fit inside of where these cut airplanes are, and I'm just using a little purple tape to go ahead and stick them down so that they are on the layout. And I'm just getting them in place so that I can add a little bit of fun to the layout here. So that is all I'm doing. Now I think I do actually go ahead and grab a little bit of ATG adhesive and stick it down, because I do have a couple of the airplanes that just are a little pain and they don't want to stay where they want to stay. Those airplanes just want to fly. So as you can see, I do put down a little bit with some ATG, and then they are all good. Now what I'm going to do next is go ahead and grab some Glitter Kiss. Now this is the Glitter Kiss brand. It does come with kind of like a sponge jobber up at the top, but I am using my trusty palette knife here, and as you can tell, this is the palette knife that I use for all of my glitter pastes and glazes and such. It does have hardened glitter on it, and it's the only palette knife I use for glitter, and it doesn't go in anything else, so there's no kind of like contamination. And I'm not that worried that if some of the glitter flakes off, since it's been on there dry for a while, like one or two little flakes of a different color glitter are not going to stress me out too badly. Now, this is not perfection here. You'll be able to see where I had some glitter leak underneath some of the airplanes. Now, as you can see right there up at that top, I had some leakiness going on. So I don't have like super crisp edges everywhere. And I'm okay with that because I know that I'm going to be adding a little bit more like mixed media type stuff. And it's just going to be the process of lifting this stuff up and kind of straightening out a little bit. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, I've got a little bit of messes going on here. What can I do? And then I discover that if I use my tweezers, I can basically scrape off all of that extra glitter. Now, it does leave a residue behind. It isn't, like I said, it's not perfection. It's not going to take all of the airplane down to that white background paper. It just isn't. But it does make some good things happen. So I'm just scraping that off, and like I said, it's got a little bit of leftovers, but I'm okay with that. Planes are only pristine as soon as they are painted. The first time they fly, they get dings and such things, so I'm not worried about it. We're just gonna say that this is like the first time it went out and it got its dings and divots and all that fun stuff. Now, I thought about cutting this out, but then I figured that would defeat the whole purpose of using the negative space of the cut file, because basically the only thing I would be doing would be creating a cut file by using a cut file as a mold. So, you know, I decided not to go with that. Now, I do have these two photos. It is of an aircraft called Honey Gal, and it doesn't make it on these layouts. This layout does not get the Honey Gal photos, but the other part of the cut file that I use does. So stay tuned, because there is a second video coming up that you'll be able to see where I actually do use the photos I intended. I just thought that the purples and the blues that I end up using were not a great fit. Now what I am using right now are Brutus Monroe, ooh, I stumbled over that a little bit, Brutus Monroe aqua pigments, and they are the metallic aqua pigments, so they have a cool shimmer in them. And the only thing I am doing is filling in these airplanes with that color. Now I'm not doing this on watercolor paper, it is just a regular white cardstock from Close to My Heart, so it does not do any kind of like really awesome blending or such things like that. But what I do is make it go from dark to light. So I just paint on layer after layer on these airplanes. The darkest will be down here on this big airplane that I'm coloring in now, and then the lightest goes all the way up to that top one. And it just kind of has like an ombre effect on the airplanes where it's from light purple to dark purple. And you might look at that and you might be thinking there might be some sort of brown going on inside the airplane with the purple. That is the metallic bits that you see. So it isn't anything brown. It might show up that way a little bit sometimes on the camera, but it really does have like this coppery metallic sparkle bit to it in real life. And the only thing I'm doing is adding a little bit more of the purple and lightening up a little bit, and then I go ahead and add some of the dark purple where it is full strength. So the full strength purple is a gorgeous, gorgeous purple. And like I said, filling that in. So as you can see, it goes dark to light. And then I decided, you know what, these airplanes are flying, so I needed to make some sky. So I have two other colors of Brutus Monroe aqua pigments, and I am just kind of using this brush and just kind of making the sky happen. And there are times where I go over top of the airplanes and you see the blue on top of the purple, and I'm not too concerned about that. I mean, why would I be super concerned about that when I've already got kind of like the leftover black glittery bits from my glitter kist? So I'm just not worried. And then I really like how this side turns out, where my brush has a little less water and a little bit more pigment in it, and it's a little bit darker. So I decide, yes, this is what I'm going to do, and then I go make some more on top of my Tonic Studios glass mat, and I just start filling it in more. And this brush is actually a blush brush, and it's just one that I really like to use when I'm doing the watercolors. And I figure, you know what? If you can use makeup brushes, like the fancy flat-handled makeup brushes for ink, why can't you use a blush brush to watercolor some bits? You definitely can. So there we go. Now I decided to add in a little bit more purple, and that's just because I do try to blend in the blue a little bit. Not necessarily because I'm upset that there's blue on the airplane, but because it has the same kind of brush stroke going on that it does on the sky, and I really didn't want that. So I take one of my art journals and I just dump out the pigment, and then I like pull it up, and it looks really cool. So I'm really excited to do that. Now I went ahead and pulled out some papers, and this paper has warped. Look at the airplanes on the back, that was kind of cool. This paper has warped. So I am using a good bit of adhesive to stick it down, and it still isn't flat. It has flattened a lot out since then because I had it underneath of a stack of scrapbooks just to get it to flatten out. And then of course when it goes inside of its page protector and makes its way into the album, it's going to flatten out even more, and it's not even going to be a problem. So I decided to use these two, this photo of my daughters. It is when my oldest daughter was being taken to college. So my youngest daughter is kind of asleep and laying on her shoulder, and my older daughter thought that that was really cool and really cute. So there we go. Now I do decide to kind of give this page a little bit of movement since I've got this whole airplane in the sky thing going on. Now here I am adding a little bit of unfun foam, and I'm going to plop that down right here on the page. And as you can see, I didn't really like make a full border around the page, and then I have these little scraps of paper of different blues and purples, and I really like the way it looks. And now I have these awesome glitter thickers that I need to use for my title. Now I do have basically two titles, a title and a subtitle, and the subtitle is basically the journaling. So I'm pulling out these Simple Stories letters, and I decided that my title was going to be Let Your Dreams Take Flight. I felt like this was a much more appropriate kind of sentiment and feeling, and just for the page. With the direction the page was going, I couldn't put one of my airplane photos on it. I just couldn't. It just wouldn't have worked. Now, while I am laying some letter stickers down here on the layout, be sure to check out the Confessions of a Paper Addict Etsy shop. Virginia has an amazing assortment of cut files. It was actually her cut files that really brought me back into cut files if I was ever really away for them. So my first cut file ever was an ice cream cone, and I was in love with it and was like so dead set on doing cut files. And then I kind of was like, okay, yeah, cut files. Yeah, I got a Cricut. Yeah. And then I did, when Virginia launched, I did the YouTube hop with her and a bunch of other scrapbookers that did cut files, and that's when I did my Sparkle City layout, and I was super excited about that one. And ever since that Sparkle City layout, I've just been really loving the cut files, and especially the airplane cut files. Like, they make me so happy, because you guys know I love me some airplane layouts. So here we go. Just about finished now. So it says Flying to Pensacola, and it was in 2018. So there it is. Now I am going to add a little bit more decoration to the page, just because I felt like this could have been finished and fine and perfect the way it was, but I felt like it just needed something, a little bit extra something. So I do pull in some wood veneer, and I'm not exactly sure where these wood veneer came from, but I really like the little heart cutout in the clouds. I think that they are really cute. And then I have this kind of like a motivationally type button that kind of went together with the colors, and then some of these acrylic white stars, and that's just to give it a little bit of a pop, because I basically covered up all the white on the layout there. Now you do get little pops of white behind the blue, but it makes your eye read it like it's all blue. Not a solid, but you see just a lot of blues. And then you have kind of this big pop of white in the photo. So I felt like I needed to add in a little bit more white just to give it a pop. Now I played around with the idea of bringing in that ampersand, but it really wasn't working for me. So I put it back real quick. And then I'm just figuring out where I want my stars to be and where I want everything to kind of live, and figure out what I'm doing. Now, I really liked the idea of this dream destination banner, and also the hangy down banner that says "You Are Here," and I just really like that together. So there it is, you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned, because I do have that second video coming up where I use the actual cut file